Welcome to this month's PSA with Chief Burgard. Welcome, Chief.
Thanks for having me.
We're here in the month of April, and Wisconsin has Severe Weather Awareness Month.
Yeah, correct. So this week of April 9th is Severe Weather Awareness Week, and the statewide tornado drill will be on Thursday, April 10th. So a lot of things for everyone to think about in their own homes that you don't normally think about. And it's not just tornadoes, but any kind of severe weather can cause issues for us. So being prepared with things like flashlights in case the power does go out, having supplies in case the water isn't on for a period of time, and being aware of it as it's happening. So it used to be very popular to have a weather radio or weather band radio in your home, and some people have gotten away from those. They do still make them to this very day. You can go out and purchase those from almost any hardware store. Some online retailers sell them as well, but they just stay turned on, tuned into a certain channel. Being aware of what's going on is the most important factor to keep everybody safe.
How up to date are the apps that you have, whether it's on your phone or you have a Siri or an Alexa? How accurate is that?
Good question. So every weather app has its own settings. The state of Wisconsin has an emergency alert system that any phone, whether it be Apple or Android, can receive. And there's a link that we can share through Ready Wisconsin and through Wisconsin Emergency Management that you just have to turn a couple settings on in the background to make sure that you receive them, and you get those right from the state of Wisconsin. So when there's bad weather coming through in your area, when there's a tornado watch or warning getting pushed through, you have the most accurate information coming in. There are a lot of weather apps, as you mentioned, that also have notification settings. So making sure that you have your location set to on so you can accurately track where you are. Most of those apps are fairly accurate.
Okay, so even the devices that you have linked with your phone, like I said, the Alexa or Siri, or I'm sure there's a new one out now that I don't know about, those are all perfectly fine, that device you have at home sitting on your counter.
As long as you have your settings set correctly,
Okay.
your phone isn't on silent
Right.
or turned off, and it's able to receive those notifications and data hasn't gone down. So it is a good method, it is a good route. The old standby is still the weather radio that is broadcast over the air with radio waves, and the state keeps that up and running. So that is always good because those weather radios have battery backups in there. So even if your power goes out, that runs for hours and hours and hours, that's the definitive gold standard.
Okay. So if you're going to go into your basement, and some of these houses, especially in the city of Hartford here, are older and they have trap doors to go down into the basement, and they bring their phone with them, and now you don't have reception, is there any suggestion that you could give these people?
Yeah, good question. So being aware of the weather before it hits is the most important part, being prepared. So if you're at home, it's maybe slightly a touch easier because you can put your own emergency action plan into play. You know that you're going to take your kids, your animals, loved ones into the basement with you, and then just know that while the storm's going to last for about 20 minutes or half an hour or whatever it is, you know when it's safe to go up and go check on it. The tough one is when you're out. So maybe you're out at a soccer game or a baseball game, softball game, whatever it may be. It's knowing where you can take shelter. Especially for things like tornadoes, sheltering in your vehicle isn't always the best bet. A lot of times it's getting to a hard structure where you can get inside and get to a basement. So being prepared and knowing what the weather is before you go out or before you go to your basement is very key to the success of what your plan is.
A lot of public parks have shelter areas, and they are designated by a sign with I think that still is with the tornado sign, and it says shelter area. And being aware of that when you go to a lot of these big events, I think is important as well.
Absolutely. Just look around and be aware of your surroundings. So not only for, I need to know where the bathrooms are so I can use the bathrooms, but for that sheltering in case severe weather were to come in. So big events, you know, maybe it's a 4th of July parade. Maybe it is you're going to Summerfest and tens of thousands of people are out. Knowing where those hard structures are that you can take shelter under that have been verified by an organization to say you're safe here, you can shelter here without worry. So know where they are anytime you go someplace that you're not familiar with.
And I want to let our viewers know that obviously when you are going to these events, the people that are organizing them should know where the shelters are. So there is going to be that kind of group mentality happening and urging them not to be in the vehicle.
Yeah, and it depends kind of what it is,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
if it's hail, inside your vehicle is a good option, right?
Right.
It's going to get you away.
Yeah.
Don't sit tight up to your windshield, so something could come through there and hurt you, but just being aware of your areas. So it's possible, much like when we talked about with ice safety earlier in the year, that everyone kind of knows where they need to go. You should also be aware for your own purposes where you can go in case you're falling group people who also don't know what the layout of the property is like.
Okay, great. And touching on another emergency that could happen is this is the time of the year in our state where people like to burn off grass, and they burn very large piles of wood and brush and sometimes garbage. And now we've got a field that's out of control. What suggestions could you give people that, they want to do these burns? I get that. It's good for the grass, right? But they have to prepare that properly.
Correct, yeah. So checking what the burning status is. City of Hartford, effectively, you can't have any outdoor burning that isn't covered. That's different in the town of Hartford or in the town of Erin or some of the other areas, much like Dodge County is. So knowing what the regulations are and following them. For Washington County, at a minimum, anywhere you are, it's adding your address to the burn log. So calling the non-emergency number for dispatch and letting them know, hey, I'm going to be conducting a controlled burn. In case something gets called in, they have your information on file already. Breaks and safety zones are the number one thing that you can do to make it safe. So make sure it's not a windy day. Make sure it's not super dry out, that fire can't jump and get away from you. Having a water source available, so a garden hose, buckets of water, whatever it may be, so that if the fire does jump and spread, you can quickly extinguish it. Having a cell phone with you so that you can very quickly call 911 and get help coming from the fire department, and having someone else aware of what you're doing. So if there's somebody else at home that can kind of keep an eye on you, or a neighbor is aware of what's happening. Having those fuel brakes and safety brakes are really key to make sure it can't get away from you and jump properties, acres, whatever it may be.
I think it's important also to mention manpower. If you're thinking of burning an area and you're home alone, I'm not sure that would be the day that you would want to do that.
Yeah, a lot of careful considerations to be taken, absolutely. So the planning from the area, who do you have available to help you out? Does my cell phone work here? Do I have a backup plan? Do I have enough equipment? Do I have enough hand tools? Is there water available? It needs to be a plan really put in place before you burn. Even if you've been burning these brush piles, every year for the last 20 years, it was a very, very dry winter this past winter. Not a lot of moisture got put into the ground. So knowing that this year might be a little different for you in spring than it has been for the last 20 years.
And lastly, if they are going to burn, is paying attention to that, making sure that when it's done, it is done, and not coming into town or going somewhere, and that's when these runaway fires start.
Yeah, absolutely. So all fires should be monitored at all points, from the moment they are ignited to the moment they are fully cold and out. It's giving off smoke, there's still heat in there. So it must be monitored at all times. You can keep your eyes directly on it so that in case something happens, wind kicks up, something spreads, that you can immediately take action.
Great. Well, I appreciate you coming in for April's PSA.
Happy to help out.
Great. And to our viewers, as always, thank you for watching.